Let's look at Griffiths Valuation for Lisgillock, Glebe. So we click on the link and that takes us to the Ask About Ireland website. So Griffiths Valuation was the first full-scale valuation of property in Ireland. All land and property in the country was surveyed for the purpose of establishing the level of rates to be paid by each landholder or leaseholder, and details of property with valuation was published in 1857 for Leitrim. There are two icons of interest to us here. There's the occupants, the link there, and the map view. And the best one to choose is the plus, the larger one. It's quite slow to open. So if I had clicked on map view, when it finally would load, it would bring us to this website here. So you can see with this thicker red line, the outline of Lisgillock Glebe, and we've talked about that shape earlier on. At the bottom right, if we click on the plus, it will help us to zoom in to see. You'll note that there's parcels of land with a numerical sequence. So if we go to what was the occupants icon, it will bring us to this page. Lisgillock Glebe is at the bottom of the page, but first I'd like to explain what the various columns mean. So here on the left, we'll have a numerical sequence and you will likely see A, B, C, D there. Then we have the name of the leaseholder or occupier, who they were leasing the land from in this column, a description of the tenement in this column, and the acreage that they had in acres, roods and perches, and finally the total amount of rates that they were due to pay for their property. So I'm going to scroll down to Lisgillock Glebe. Sometimes this moves around very fast, so please bear with me. I'm going to zoom out. And there we see Lisgillock Glebe. So these sequence of numbers on the left corresponds to the numbers we had seen on the map. And my example is James Cannon. And it's very likely that in the mid-1850s that this James Cannon was the father of James that we looked at in the 1911 census. James had A and B, and he had two parcels of land, number 1 and number 2. His immediate landlord was the Reverend de la Puer Beresford. James had a bit over 7 acres, and in a second parcel of land it was much smaller. So we see he had a house at A, and B was a burial ground which was close to his house, and James was due to pay £3.15. So in mid-1850s, a decade after the famine, that was a considerable amount of money. So let's go to the map and find James's piece of land. So I'm just going to move around until I see number 1. So there we are. That's James's a bit over 7 acres. Here's where his house was. There's B, the burial ground, and it is noted on the map. Number 2 was where he had the smaller piece of land. And if we zoom slightly out, we see there was the quarry was there was a fort closer by, and over here we had a corn mill. So features like that can be spotted on Griffiths Valuation of the mid-1850s.